And CP, I think before everyone can appreciate the man that's in front of us right now, I think we have to take it all the way back. You're a New Yorker through and through. How about you take us a little bit through your childhood? How basketball you used to play when you were younger? How influential was that? Growing up in New York.
Always loved the game. Always loved New York sports, period, right? But when it just came to basketball, I always tell the story. It just goes back to those classic NBA on NBC games where it would be the Knicks versus the Bulls, obviously. Knicks versus Pacers or versus the Celtics. And one thing that I've always loved about sports and all sports is that it's a nonfiction story where the script unfolds over, it's not pre-established. It's not predetermined. The script unfolds after each second, after each minute. And you see the true stories that come out of that.
Right.
And they always say with storytelling, in terms of storytelling structure, it's about the hero's journey. Where it's like the main character, the obstacle he needs to face, and does he get there at the end? Well, for the Knicks, they were that underdog, lunch-pail group trying to get past Jordan and the Bulls, the greatest basketball player who ever lived, always embarrassed him every chance he got. Yep. And so I was always rooting for those guys with the New York on their chest because they were that underdog. It was the David and Goliath story. Right. Yeah. I wanted to see them ultimately reign supreme at the top. And even the heartbreak at Game 7, those stories just unfolded before you, and it made me more and more passionate about that team because those guys always gave it their all.
Right.
So growing up, is your household a New York fan base of anything, or was it one game that you're like, man, this team, I vibe with them, and they just happen to be the New York Knicks, and then it takes off from there?
Yeah, it was just the Knicks and the classic rivalries, man.
Okay.
Like, you had no choice but to get into it. And Marv, telling that soundtrack and just the previews, the opening montage that Bob Costas used to do, all of that just played into that theater, and you had no choice but to sit and just be enthralled with everything that was going on. Knicks versus Heat. Yes. Pat Riley leaving the Knicks, going to the Heat, making a carbon copy of that team, and then everybody just brawling every series.
Do you remember there was a particular moment you were like, this is my team?
Stark stunk.
The Stark stunk.
Stark stunk.
For me personally, it was the Allen Houston floater in Miami. That was why this is my team. Because they were the 8th seed. They were the underdogs the entire time. My dad was a Miami Heat fan at one point. I don't want to get into that stuff. I remember just seeing him just sad. I was like, this is my team right here.
Yeah.
They were the David in the story, right? And they weren't supposed to win that series. And that's what really did it to me. But just going off of what you were saying in the 90s, and that team kind of represents the city. Right. Represents who I am as a person, as a New Yorker. I'm pretty sure it represents you from what I know about you and Mike as well. So, I mean, obviously growing up, the Knicks were such a huge influence. Did you have any other passions, or did you gravitate towards other interests when you were growing up?
It was always around sports. Just loving basketball around the Knicks. Then later on in the 90s, the Yankees started getting it popping. So I was, just into the Yankees and going to the championship parades and just seeing New Yorkers with their pride and their fandom on display. Later on, it was the Giants. I was always rocking with the Giants, from the LT days, early 90s, small memories of Wide Right when they beat the Bills and won the Super Bowl. And from then, I was always bleeding blue. Then they won it in 2007, another underdog story, beating the Patriots 17-0. Right. It's those things that just got me deeper and deeper in love with those teams, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry for your Giants fandom. It's brutal right now.
You're not a Giants fan? Man. Oh, you mean now?
I'm a fantasy football guy. So I feel bad for myself too, but it's tough times.
It's gonna be a long road to glory.